And welcome everybody listening to the Soulful Illumination show. Welcome all those listening from around the world, the known universe, those traveling across space-time, through dimensional portals and other realms to the Soulful Illumination show, the show about spiritual ascension through energetic frequencies, a show about connecting to the collective consciousness through heart awakening. Allow the energetic vibrational frequencies to send you into spiritual ascension. We are coming at you live from a bunker near Area 51 in fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada. And you know what? If you're here, you're feeling those energy shifts and you are feeling those beings. I am your host, the Lady of Laughter and Light, Nicole Borghi. And I am a soulful coach. I am here every Thursday at 9 a.m. live to share with you the love, the laughter, and the passion that I have. And I have a shout out to all the beautiful clients and everybody that I come across, whatever group I'm in, and whoever I've been talking to recently. It's just so beautiful to share my passion, my passionate action, right? My passion, my purpose. And that's what I'm here to do. But let's do a little housekeeping before we start today. So guys, don't forget, hit that like button, smash it, subscribe. Don't forget, we are live. I'm going to try and get to YouTube live chat. I've got at Illuminate Vegas. I've got a live chat under the Oneness Chalk Radio and Facebook. So don't forget to go there, like, subscribe, join the tribe, right? We are here. We are here in a beautiful day in a loving world. First, a little bit of housekeeping. So visit my webpage, IlluminateVegas.com. Book a session with me. I'm a soulful coach. I'm on a journey of mentorship and sharing my practice of heart-filled awakening, of smashing that sabotage, getting rid of that anger, and working on that anger and getting it out, clearing it so you can be the best you. And I'm getting ready to put a program together. So at the end of September, people, you will have that ability. You will have that ability to see it on Facebook. I'm doing that. But every day I have a program. I have that program every day for those blessed beings that are here with me in this beautiful world. Get a discovery session. Learn how to be empowered by me, right? Check out my sponsors because they support this show. They support me. That is doTERRA. It is a beautiful oil. And I use that in my spiritual anointing process. And I can share that with you. So contact me, email me at illuminatingvegas@gmail.com, or go ahead and go to my website and check that out. The other people that are beautiful sponsors are CellCore. So CellCore Biosciences is an oxygen. It helps you breathe. It helps you wake up. And right now, with the time that we're in, we get depleted and we need to replenish our oxygen, get our heart strength up. We need to breathe. And breath is the breathe that breath of life. And I'm going to let my friend and one of my mentors in detoxing and nutrition in right now. But before I do that, let me just suggest to go to my webpage, book a discovery call, contact me if you have any questions. Go to IlluminatingVegas.com or IlluminatingVegas@gmail.com and hit me up, right? And any questions that you have, I am ready to answer them. And I'm going to let my beautiful guest in, Dr. Jacqueline. Dr. Jackie, are you here with me right now? We had a bit of a problem setting up. Let me see if I can get her in. All right. Dr. Jackie's going to come in right now. Are you with me? Yes, hello, there you are. Awesome.
I've been here. I've been waiting for you.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Fantastic. Why don't you go ahead and say hello to our audience? This is Dr. Jacqueline Gutierrez.
Just move
She
this
is a
up.
naturopath, and I'll let you go ahead and introduce yourself because I'm going to go ahead and jump on the chat real quick.
Well, I'm Dr. Jacqueline, and I have two things going on. I have the Wellness Trinity, my business, where we have a cerebral detox program and help fully cleanse out people's body and brain so they have amazing mental wellness and cognitive function. And also, I work for CellCore Biosciences, so that they're the backbone of my program in the Wellness Trinity, and they hired me on, and that's how me and Nicole, me and you, we really reconnected because of CellCore, and we're really amazing at doing all kinds of stuff, including getting parasites out of people's body. So that's me in a nutshell.
That is awesome. And you know what? Dr. Jacqueline, you have been integral in getting me live and getting me on the air and talking about myself. I love watching you. When I first met you a few years back, I would hide. I'd hide from the camera. I'd be like, no. But I realized in that's just a beautiful way to reach out to so
Right.
many people, and people you just can't reach out that aren't in your town, or especially times like these. How it's a great way to reach out and show people what you offer, and show people and teach people actually, new things, new tips, how to cleanse your life, how to get into that mental clarity. And I know you talk about that.
Hmm.
If we could just go ahead and go into that and talk about, you know, how does that, when you detox, when you're healthy,
Hmm.
and when you're at that point where you have a healthy body and mind, yeah, how that changes your ascension, that changes your vibrations, it brings
Hmm.
you up, it raises your consciousness, and you are such a person of faith and belief in you and other people. So
Hmm.
let's talk about how you got to this point, can we?
I feel like that's like 10 questions in one almost. But I want to first make a note of, you had mentioned that you're getting more live on video now, and I just want to congratulate you on that. And in this show that you have, I feel like I've seen you blossom so much in the last few years, and I do love that background that you have with the crystals. I am a
Oh,
huge
thanks.
fan of crystals. If you can see my crystal tree up there, so
Yeah.
there's so many elements of the idea of health, right? Let's break this down in a nutshell simply. We have our mind, our body, and our spirit. And the idea with being healthy, which is totally correlated with the idea of you were talking about ascension and just being more in line. I'm a Christian, so we call it the Holy Spirit, and just being more in line and more in tune with hearing that voice, that still small voice that we're spoken to. So I find that the healthier we are, the healthier our relationship with God is can be as well too. Just because um, sometimes our mind can get really clouded with stuff like with toxins,
Right.
with infections, with imbalances of all kinds of sorts. I know all kinds of people that work really hard on their spiritual life, but they don't necessarily have the healthiest body, and they're still depressed, they're still anxious, they're not living their calling in life and their purpose, etc. Because you know, they just, it's a physical thing that's manifesting. So again, we have to look at those three things: the mind, the body, and the spirit. And what I find in this field so much is that people are segregating these things. And there's good reasons sometimes because, there's going to be people that are more skilled in certain areas or not. The bigger, greater picture, though, is to have the understanding of how these things kind of connect and maybe refer to people that are going to be specialized in those areas when the time comes of looking at the imbalance. So let's first start off with what is healthy in the first place. So we have homeostasis. I like to draw this flat line for people. If we have too much of a bad thing or not enough of a good thing, we get all thrown off. And that too much of a bad thing, I usually like to group it in toxins and infections, and then the not enough of a good thing are deficiencies. And this can totally expand into, even spiritual and emotional things as well too. I mean, toxic thoughts are a real thing. I
Yeah.
went through a period in the last couple of days where I was going through some emotional things, and I was like, and I could literally feel it, my body, just my energy go down, my drive for life go down, like, and it's just it's crazy. So we have to think about thoughts as real things too, and that could be in that toxic bucket of things that need to be dealt with. Now, as a
Right.
naturopath, I'm always looking at what are those toxins that are manifesting? What are those infections? So we brought you on with the CellCore product line, which I'm so
Yeah.
excited that you're doing that. I know you've been having some great results so far, but there's a
Yeah,
whole group
I
of
did
them.
the second phase. I did two phases, and there was just so much to clear out, like on a cellular level, and just rejuvenate. Even all the clearing I've done holistically, or all the clearing I've done mentally, energetically, I really needed to move forward with my health, and
Mhm,
needed something else to kind of boost that, because
mhm,
you have to clean it out. If you don't clean it out, you can't put the good stuff back in, right?
mhm. Yeah.
It's just like a dirty cup that you're constantly filling up.
Right. Yeah, totally. I mean, there's a verse in the Bible that I like that relates to this. It says that you can't put new wine in old wineskins. Like it will burst. So we got to clean the body out if we're going to be able to put good food in and probiotics and all that and expect that we're going to be able to use it to its best of ability. For example, now you're in phase two. Phase one of the CellCore protocol. So again, CellCore is the supplement line that we use, and they have this fabulous protocol. Phase one is all about like, let's just open your drainage pathways, make sure you're pooping, make sure your liver's flowing, and let's make sure that we're binding up stuff or we're going to be just naturally releasing as we're opening up those drainage pathways and increasing cellular energy. We get to phase two where you're at, and that is, I almost want to say that's the most exciting part because of what you see in the toilet. So,
Right.
um, parasites. I mean, parasites are a huge thing. And when we want to talk about how the mind and the body connect to each other, this morning I was thinking about it and it hit me. We need to talk about this term I learned a few weeks ago, maybe about a month ago, called neuroparasitology. Have you ever heard about that?
If I did, I wouldn't remember. It's
Okay.
like a super
So,
large.
it's a newer scientific term for how parasites take over our mind.
Yes. Yes, they sure do.
So I live near Portland and I went there to see what was going on. Actually, it was my husband's bright idea. Let's see all the chaos that's going on there. So I'm
Oh,
like, okay,
wow.
well, sure. So I will tell you, I was very depressed for a few hours after I saw that.
Mm.
What all the looting and the graffiti and the homeless camps. And I mean, it was so sad. And it was the time I learned about neuroparasitology. And so when I learned this term, I was fascinated of the idea of how parasites can take over our mind. And parasites are a huge, huge, huge problem that is very much not looked at in the realm of health and wellness. I mean,
Mm.
whether it's a holistic person or a doctor or a functional medicine person, etc. I mean, I train the practitioners. So I know that this is not looked at in the scale that it needs to be. And
Right.
CellCore has discovered that this is a huge problem and has come up with solutions to be able to deal with this. So you're
Mhm.
getting the beginning part of the whole parasite cleanse in phase two, where people actually will move out worms out of their gut. And can you just imagine, like only 30% of the parasites that we see are actually seen. The rest of them they're 70% of them, they're not seen. They're microscopic. So when we're doing parasite cleanses, we might not actually see them. So think about how small it has to be microscopic. That means it can travel through your bloodstream, your lungs, your brain, your eyes, your nose, your everywhere in your body. So, it's so the problem is that our world is just so toxic. Our
It
body cannot
is.
handle the 85,000 plus chemicals in the environment that we're just literally dumping in the environment. Mother Nature does not seem very happy. I think maybe that's why we got fires going on right now. It's just, it's,
It does it. The earth feels us, the plants feel us. And in being in this community where we're at such a consciousness level, and we're part of that collective consciousness, that the earth is feeling that. And it's feeling our pains, but it's time for us to accept our um really just take control of it and understand where we're at. Really going inside, what can we do to help this earth and help it heal, we have to heal ourselves. And that's at least one place you can start. You
Oh
know,
yeah,
you
totally.
can't really argue with that you need to be healthier at every level, mentally, physically, and emotionally. And if you're not healthy and you're not healing, then you're at that polarity of fear and anger. And I lived through a lot of that. And to get to that joy and happiness, I had to do cleansing. I had started herbally cleansing, and then I started doing detoxing, and then I started a lot of colonics, which a lot of people don't talk about. Get rid of that trash, guys. Clean out your closet, get rid of that old
Right.
stuff. Don't keep it in your body. You want to flush it out. And really going into this point where the detox was just like, wow, I just feel the difference in my energy. and
Oh
and
yeah.
I feel I don't feel that heavy gut weight, because the gut just has so much to do with the brain and your health and how you focus and how you understand things. And it's so
Yeah,
important to
totally.
be with that holistically, right?
Yeah, our brain is connected to our gut via the vagus nerve, and about 90% or so we're finding of serotonin is made in our gut. That's just one
Yeah.
neurotransmitter. Serotonin makes us happy. Okay, so if our gut is not healthy, you think that people are going to be happy? You know,
No.
so that's
No.
just one neurotransmitter. There's all kinds of neurotransmitters that are related to other types of emotions. If we have low tyrosine, which builds dopamine, we're going to have low energy. We're not going to have our memory and focus is going to be off. So our health is directly connected to our emotions in that sense as well too. So I know that there's energetic things and there's spiritual things. There's all these other, again, we're a mind, a body, and a spirit, but physically
Huge.
there's a huge connection with what's made in our gut and what's manifesting in our emotions and our spiritual life.
Yeah. And I didn't know that, because I had, when as a child, I had been in the hospital, and I've had multi surgeries. I almost kind of grew up in the hospital. That was my home, because these people were healers, and these people were helping me, because we did not know how to heal, how to be healthy, how to eat right. And it's huge to, what are you eating, what are you drinking, what are you putting in your body, and just learning to mesh with that, so you can bless that food and bring it in, that good nourishment into your body. But it affected so much, because I've had surgeries, I was on medication
Mm.
for many years. It affected my daughter as a preemie, and I didn't realize what that meant. Getting outside, getting some sunshine, getting good vitamins, being in a good healthy mode, because it was my gut. And every time I have a problem, it's going back to my gut and feeling that. It's huge. My focus and my memory are awesome right now. And
Hmm.
I used to have such blank, I would blank out
Wow.
for periods of time. I would lose time. And that's a part of why I had a hard time also getting on the videos and doing videos and live videos, because I couldn't remember things.
Mm.
And I would have to, I felt kind of like that dial up, like all the old cable dial up, and my brain was just looking for the answer. And I had studied stuff for years. I had the books, I had the notes, and I couldn't relate to it. And
Mm.
that had such to do with the cleansing of my gut, and it had
Mm.
such to do with my schooling or things I could remember, right?
Yeah, I have a client. Well, I run a whole cerebral detox program where it's we're looking at that whole thing that you just said with mind, how the mind is connected with the body, and how we have to literally cleanse our whole body to be able to cleanse our brain so that we can actually focus. Think about how many kids are being diagnosed with autism, and elderly that are diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and then there's all kinds of mental wellness stuff in the middle of the spectrum, and you got suicides.
Mm.
That's why I started this program. Actually, I had some suicides that were kind of near to my family. One was one of my cousin's daughters. She actually committed suicide at 23 years old after having a baby, and the baby was about a year and a half old, and she was just about to graduate with her
Jeez.
nursing degree, and she committed suicide. And so, I
Oh my
look back and I'm
goodness.
like, could this have been prevented had she been more balanced chemically? you
Right.
know and
Right.
I just, that my heart goes out to people that are on the edge like that, because so much of this is physical and we're not
It is.
addressing it with the physical things that we need. We'll send people off that are a little bit off in their emotions, and to a psychologist or someone that does like talk therapy or something like that, which is totally important. Don't get me wrong.
Right,
But if we
right.
don't address the other part, that's a root, you're going to keep spinning your wheels. And that's why I like to look at the whole picture, because sometimes it is some type of words of wisdom. Sometimes it is a friend being there for you. But if you have a big parasite in your gut, eating healthy is not going to be the only thing that helps you. Having a good friend is not going to be the only thing that helps you. You know, even energetic stuff is not the only thing that's going to help you. Like, you got to take some powerful herbs that actually will
Yes.
do the job to get rid of it. And I'm like you. I I've been cleansing and working on myself physically for so many years, and I didn't realize my parasite load was what it was until last July, which is what, 2 months ago.
Right.
And I started, so I did a scan on myself. I do these Zyto scans, and I saw the parasites come up really strong. And I couldn't believe it. I was shocked. I'm like, oh my gosh, I work for the parasite company, and which again, it's more than just parasites, but that's a
Right.
huge chunk of what they do. And I also have been preaching this to the moon because I've seen amazing things with my clients, and I've done a lot of the other stuff in the supplement line, but I just didn't think that I needed to do the parasites for whatever reason. I was muscle testing it, didn't seem like it was coming
Mm.
up. And so I was like, no, this is not okay. So I started slamming these parasites, and for over a month, I had worms come out of me, like no
Wow.
joke. And every time this happened, I felt like my energy went up and up and up and up and up. And I had, like, I'm through the moon now. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that this was holding me back. I mean, I've
Right,
always been pretty
right,
driven, and I know you're pretty driven. I mean, I've seen you
right.
all around town when I was living in Las Vegas. And, you know, sometimes our heart and our spirit is willing, but our body is physically holding us back from living the calling and destiny of our life.
Yes.
And it's awful.
It's you know, and it's accepting that. It's
Right.
really accepting that truth, right? It's accepting that understanding of it's more, to me, it's always been, have the faith and you'll see. Have
Right.
that understanding, especially when you talk about spirit. When you're in spirit, when I'm in spirit, when I am connected, when I'm channeling, when I'm just even meditation, at any time when I'm at that and I listen to my guides, I listen to
Mhm.
my angels. I add that energy in there and I ask those questions, or just listen to what they're telling me, because it's presented to you. You know, and for everyone it may be just a little bit different, but it's so amazing when you start to get into that heart space and you listen to your spirits and guides, and you're like, you know what, I know this is true. I can
Mhm.
see the path ahead of me. And you just ask for that. Show me the path. Show me what I need to do so
Mhm.
I can be in my divine light and help others. And you help so many people all the time. I see you on lives. I see you, at the past, the event that CellCore had, and I see you everywhere, and you're just jamming and just so jazzed, and I can see that light of, this is where I need to be for you. And it's so beautiful to see that energy, and such a blessing to share, because you are so full of information. You have so much information, but you always make sure that people understand what they need to do and how they need to do it, but simplify it, because it is science, and and you've done a lot of work and you've done a lot of study, and but you're able to simplify it in a way that people can understand. Okay, I can do this. I don't have to
Mhm.
read all these books, and I don't
Mhm.
have to understand all that information, because it'll come with time. It
Mhm.
always does. And you just have to do it. And that's the beauty of you, is you just show people, hey, try this. This is the beauty of this product. This is what we understand. This is my practice. This is what I know. Just go ahead and give it a little bit of a try. See if you like it. If you need help, here you are. If you love it, you'll love it too. Because I can see
Mhm.
with that excitement when you contacted me with this, it was so integral in that there's a study behind this. I don't have to go back into my kitchen and read up all on these herbs and mix it, which I love to do, and that's a beauty of being an herbalist, but I have to go in my kitchen. I can't find all these ingredients.
I agree. And, you know, I was thinking about that at some point with all this, that it's like, it's so beautiful that that CellCore really just did all the work for us. And I mean, and it's not done yet. Every day there's new things coming on board. The scientist has all kinds of concoctions in his lab that we're just ready to roll out. He's like a little mad scientist, him and his son, and then they have two other people now that are working with them. But it was a joy to actually visit the lab and see what was going on behind the scenes. There's so much thought and effort that's going on to it. I wanted to make a note. So we use this bioactive carbon technology in the supplements, and most of the supplements have this, except for Mimosa Pudica, the para one that you're taking in phase 2. So this bioactive carbon technology, I thought that you might be interested to know, it carries light. Yeah. It has light in it. So I just thought that was beautiful, because like your show is called Soulful Illumination. And to think that we actually can take in products and foods that have light in it, what my idea is, what's within, it manifests without. So if we're taking in things that are full of light and full of high energy, what are we going to attract that's in our life that is of that substance?
Absolutely. And you can feel when you do, when you test, whether it's using a pendulum, whether it's muscle testing, how is your body going to react to it? But feeling the integrity of the people and the product, because when you're getting food, just going to the grocery store, it's already pretty much dead by the time it's in the store, because it's already picked, it's already traveled. So you're not picking these fruits and vegetables or any of the product that's in that. But it's hard to do that and keep that goodness and all those nutrients in it. But the product is nutrient rich, and it continues that energy. And for me, it's all about the energy, because everything is energy and never dies. But how do you want to continue that blessing of the energy? And when people use or make products, just as when they do the water test, and it changes almost like a snowflake, and you're blessing the water, and the chemical makeup of that water looks like this beautiful snowflake. However, if you're blessing it, but on the other end, if you're not, and you're saying nasty things to it, it kind of breaks up. And so when you have people that are touching it and that are harvesting it and moving it forward, it has a continual cycle of light and nutrient, and it keeps the chain within it without breaking it up.
Yeah. So you're talking about structured water, basically. Have you heard of that term?
Yes.
Yeah. So our water is more absorbable when it's structured, and it looks like that snowflake. So if you ever drink water and you feel like you're still dehydrated, one, there might not be enough minerals in it, but two, that it's not structured. Okay. So we have two things from CellCore that actually do that to the water. So we have the Mito ATP. When you put these drops into the water, it actually structures the water. Did you know about that?
Yeah, I've watched the video, so I make sure I put it in my water before I drink it, right?
And the minerals, then we're remineralizing the water. And these are nanoparticleized pieces of elements. So they get way deep inside the mitochondria. I met up with another practitioner that uses CellCore recently, and she does a lot of muscle testing, and she can measure your energetic field by muscle testing. I thought that was interesting.
Oh, wow.
And so CellCore is very big on cleansing out, like deeper than a cellular level. So I don't know if you remember before, I used to do live blood analysis, and we look at the cellular level to see how healthy the person's body is. We're going deeper into the mitochondria, and there could be literally thousands of mitochondria in each cell. So this is like a very, very, very small, minute thing that we're trying to clean out. And the mitochondria are energy powerhouse. So it creates the energy that we're feeling. And this practitioner that I met up with, she was talking about how her theory is that our energetic field is related to our mitochondria, because our mitochondria is producing that energy.
Yeah.
I never thought about it like that, but I was like, wow, that's really interesting how our energetic field is closely related to the state of health of our mitochondria. So when we have negative thoughts, when we have toxins, when we have infections, etc., these things all bring down the mitochondria, which can obviously bring that energetic field in too.
Right, because when the cells are reproducing, so however your cell is, so if you have like let's just say a little angry cell, or whatever, just kind of put it simply, that you've had a toxic cell or a toxic life, or you're just an angry fear, and that cell multiplies, you're just going to have another one that's duplicating that same pain and anguish. Otherwise, if you have a cell that you're starting to be happy, you're starting to be healthy, you're starting to think right and live right, and your energy level has changed, now it's duplicated into those two better cells. And so you're constantly kind of reprogramming, reproducing those same cells, whatever level you're at, right? And just restructuring your body that way.
Yeah. So that kind of ties into the idea of neuroplasticity. So as you can tell, like I'm a big fan of the brain, and we have neural pathways that fire in certain directions. So if we meditate on negative thoughts, for example, and meditating is not necessarily sitting here and like, oh, my life sucks. Oh my, like, you know what I mean? It's going throughout your day,
Right.
and constantly thinking bad things, right? Or taking in a negative event and just honing in on it versus you finding ways and that we can release it. On a physical level, it can be very damaging and add to that mitochondria, but it can also build these neural pathways in our brain for negativity. And so people, people that are really negative, I'm sure you know people that are really negative, and it's kind of hard to break that chain, even if
Yes.
they try to put something positive like once in their life. It's not just going to break. You have to keep retraining your brain in the opposite direction and the opposite direction, so that it's now you're more programmed to, that positive neural pathway. So I use something called a brain tap. Have you heard of that?
Go ahead and explain what that is.
So the brain tap, so it has a headset, and has a little thing that goes over your eyes as well too. And there's light therapy and sound therapy. So the light
Oh, I
therapy,
saw that. I did see that. I saw
yeah,
that show. That's amazing. Go ahead. Sorry
yeah.
to interrupt.
Okay, yeah, I had a feeling you've probably seen it. This would totally be up your alley and probably your audience's alley too. So it's like meditation on steroids, basically. That's what I like to call it. So the Dr. Porter and his team, they created all these guided meditations and visualizations that is hooked up with this light and sound therapy. So the light actually goes in your ears as well too, and then obviously the sound you're listening through your ears, and then the light goes over your eyes. So it's literally having these little blue lights and going like this and like this, and it really helps to just reprogram that brain, reprogram those neural pathways. And so whatever someone needs breakthrough in their life, they can use something like this device. I mean, there's obviously many ways that people can go about this, but I just found that it's an easy way to go about this faster. It seems like, because it's literally almost doing the work for you in your brain.
Wow. And it's so amazing the technology we have. And sometimes we get so stuck in that, don't be near the technology. We got 5G going on. We got all these bad vibes and stuff. And it's legitimate. That is out there. But there's ways to combat that, by using crystals or shungite or anything like that, or meditating. But if we can take the technology like we are now and using Facebook for good, using YouTube for good, and sharing and teaching people, but using quicker life hacks so we can go on about our day. And that's, for me, it's so important to do something quickly and get it done efficiently. And that's another beautiful tool to share with people, and to say, hey, you know what? Do this so you don't have to spend this much time here. And I love to be in meditation. There's times I can be in meditation for long periods of time, but there's times that I can you're meditating while you're out there walking. You're being productive. So either if you're doing kind of like a combo, two things at once, or you're doing this where you have that kind of laser light therapy, and that you're programming your mind. But what it does is it's doing kind of the job for you, so you don't have to think your way out of it. And we all
Yeah.
get in that monkey mind where we're like, especially when we get busy, and we get in that monkey mind and we're like, oh, I got to get milk, or I got to get this email out, or I got to get on this show, and I've got to do this, and I've got to do this. When you do that, it gets you to the point where it does the job for you, and you're like, oh, it's like a guided meditation. You're like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, okay, somebody else has got this to help me with this. Because we forget, even in moments, to say, hey, let's bring in that light, let's use the tools we have. And that's the beauty of learning these things and having these products or having these tools. with us at all times.
Yeah. Well, 20 minutes of this of a meditation is like 2 to 3 hours of rest. I have literally felt tired sometimes, and I just lay down and do that, and I feel recharged. It's like it's crazy. I mean, I think there's so many different things. Actually, Dr. Porter would be a great person for you to have on the show, or
Yeah.
his rep Sean Beam. I could hook you up with either one if you're interested.
Oh,
But
yeah.
they could probably dive deeper into what is actually happening in this. Like on a cellular level. I think it even oxygenates the body. So there's so many things that are going on with it. But the idea is life is already hard enough. Like, I know there's idea of mind over matter, which I think it can be very powerful when needed, but why not, why not, first of all, decrease the toxic load? Because okay, let's go back to that for a second, actually. So when we have toxins and infections, it's very hard to do mind over matter sometimes because there's something physical that's happening in our body. So if we can lower this toxic burden, then we can naturally just be more joyful and be more intuitive and be more conscious and aware and in line in our destiny, and et cetera. It doesn't feel so forced. Like there's been so
Right.
many years in my life where it felt like I was forcing myself to get up and do what I thought I was passionate about and all that. Even though you're passionate about it doesn't mean that there's not something that is kind of holding you back. And so it's just so much easier to think clearer, and you said make decisions faster and get things done faster, because when you
Right.
feel better and your mitochondria is on fire, then I mean, one, it's just easier to be intuitive probably, and then two, you kind of can see what's for you and what's not for you.
Yeah.
You can make the decisions faster, get things done. It's just so much easier. So the brain tap's just one of those things too. It's a tool that we can use that can help kind of just speed that process up of neuroplasticity. So again, we can be more intuitive, we can be more productive, we can see more of the path that we should be on, etc. So again, I like to go through the mind, the body, and the spirit, and make sure we're looking at the whole package, because when we do, I mean,
Mm.
people can be so much more restored than if we're just looking at pieces.
Oh, absolutely. Because we're whole. And that's the part of holistic health. We are whole people. And if we only concentrate on one thing, then something else is out of whack. And with the toxins that are out there, with our cleaners, with the chemicals, if you're in Vegas, you're going to the casino, and then there's smoke, and then there's everything just in the city alone that you're going through. And it's kind of crazy when you stop to think about it, all the things that you come into contact with, because it comes through not only your breathing, but it comes through your pores, because the skin's that largest organ in your body, and you're wearing it and you're seeping it into your body. And it's made such a difference. And especially in my family, because there's a lot of mental health. So there's a few things that you can't force people, unfortunately, to do this.
Mm-hmm.
To take this journey, to take the step. What you can do is change your cells, transform yourself, change
Mm-hmm.
yourself at an alchemical level, bring that light in and be healthy, because other people around you will see that this is the way I'm living now. I didn't exercise when I was younger. I didn't eat. I drank. I smoked. I did all kinds of things. I partied. I did everything possibly that I could pour into my body just to take the hurt away and to take the pain away. And it cleaning that out, cleaning the years of that out, and starting to see that change. Not only are the people changing around me, the businesses change, the people I talk to change, the way I can articulate to people. And I don't have to stop and what was I doing? Where was I at? And that ability. I mean, things have changed so much, guys. I want to tell you, when I was younger, I had a hard time reading, and I didn't know what it was. I just thought I was disinterested. I was dyslexic, and I had a problem reading a book, reading through the pages. I couldn't comprehend it. And we didn't have audio. We didn't have the Audible programs or books on tape even when I was younger. But what happens is, now that my mind is clean, I can concentrate because I love to read. And I want to be able to read and share with people things. And so it makes that process easier when it's cleaned out, because you can go, okay, now I know where I am. Now I know what's going on. Now my brain is at a point where it can just calm down and go, oh, I've got some great information. I can read this and now I can share it. Or I can read this passage, I can read this chant, and share this prayer and speak it and speak that truth and manifest it. And it just has so much to do with your entire life. And as I change, I see my family change. I see the forgiveness. I see that some of that hate and anger going to the wayside. And it's so beautiful to say every morning, I am so thankful for that. And to have that part of it and to share it with other people and just be like, look, my heart's awakened, my mind's awakened, my body is awakened. And now that I'm at that alignment, I can share that empowerment, especially right now with the way it's time to equalize. It's time to get out of the fear and find the courage and the strength and move forward. And I'm able to share that with people, kind of hold their hands in my program and say, look, we can do this on a workable level. We can do this and find what is your relationship with food. Maybe it's not the diet. Maybe it's the programming in your mind. Let's look at it at a deeper level. And while you're doing that, let me give you the tools to share. Maybe you need to detox. Maybe you're ready to do that and get that out. Or maybe it's just finding that inner child. But there's the ability now for me to master that and share it with other people is such a beautiful thing. And if I can't do it, I share it to other people and say, hey, go to this person or go to, Dr. Jacqueline's website and see the information that she's putting out, the people that she's talking to, because she has a set of information. I don't need to regurgitate that same information. You have it and you present it so beautifully. And just to share with people and say, hey, look, this is an option. Check this out. Because for me, it's about the product that is healthy, the product that is researched. It has science, but it's science merged with energy. And it's time to start seeing that, people. You want the facts. The facts aren't there. Yes, they are. They've always been there, but this company beautifully brings that together in an integral way. And all the people that share the information and the doctors for CellCore are so great in sharing their passion, their purpose, and their experience on that. And that's just so beautiful to see that cycle, because they're really there for everyone. And this is how they can share it with more people, because you can't see everybody. Not everybody can be your patient, unfortunately. Right?
Yeah.
Do that. How did you get into being a naturopath?
Well, my dad died when I was young. I was 9 years old, and he had cancer. So my mom was widowed at 36 years old with 3 young children, and I was oldest. So I think in the back of my head, I always wanted to live. So that's how I took it. It seems like everyone kind of had a different response to all that. I mean, that's what led me on my spiritual path. And then the spiritual path probably opened up this door of holistic health, because you just realize there's all these different levels of healing. And then also I wanted to figure out my purpose at one point in my life. So I was living in the nightlife in Vegas and working there, and I should say living there. I was living in Vegas and working in the nightlife. And I was just like, this is not it. Like, this is so not me. I was making a ton of money, but I was just like, this is just, ugh. And so we want to talk about low vibration environment.
Yes.
So love the people, but at the same time, it's just like, ugh. So, anyways, I got rid of everything and I traveled around the world for a year, and I was like, I got to figure this out. So I went to all these different restaurants, like anything healthy. I put my hands on it. Felt like I traveled across the country. I went on a mission trip. I found family I didn't know in all over around the world. And
wow.
I just, it really was a healing journey for me. And I had no idea that this is what I embarked on, but I called it my adventure, and I was writing a book during the time. So it really kind of just opened my eyes to other things out there. Sometimes we can get stuck in the minutia of life. Like, I had a degree and I did a little personal training business before all that, but I didn't realize there was something greater for myself that I could do. I was in nightlife mode. Like, this is it. I didn't realize I could do something else. I was young too. So, I hadn't experienced so much in my life at that point. So it took me just kind of stepping out there and running around the world to figure out, oh, okay, there's something with this holistic stuff. And I started several businesses after, and it was just not working out. And then finally I'm like, okay, I need to plant myself in a job. And so I had a few jobs while I ended up getting back into doing my naturopath program. and then a bunch of other certifications. It's like the list just goes down. When you start studying all this stuff, it's like, oh, there's this and there's that and there's this.
Oh yeah.
So might as well just have certifications with it. So, so that's how I did that. I started my business in California, then moved to Vegas and had it there. And now I'm all remote. So that's kind of all that in a nutshell. But I'm just so passionate to get this message out there that there's hope, because, if I can help, even one family not lose their father at a young age, going back to that, I mean, or their mother or their brother or their sister or their child. There's lots of children that are just dealing with awful things nowadays. This toxic burden, you guys, is no joke. And the more that we continue to do this, pollute the earth, the more that we have the ramifications in our health. So our kids are, unfortunately, like, the more that this goes on generation from generation, we just pass this toxic bucket on. So we have to stop this at some point with, first of all, like you said, Nicole, we need to cleanse our own body. We need to take matters of our own health and wellness into our own hands, because the healthier that we can be, the better that we can, first of all, when we reproduce, our children will be healthier. You got to think about it. You're replicating yourself.
Yes.
You just pass down this toxic burden to your kids if you don't take it out of yourself before you get pregnant. That's why I haven't had kids yet. I'm like, I'm figuring this out. My husband's figuring this out first.
That was smart of you, because I had my daughter at a young age. And like I said, I was an alcoholic and I was anorexic when I was pregnant. Wow. I was 17 years old. I didn't know anything about health. And she has health issues that we're still working on. But she's now willing to work with that, because I'm at a place where I can do that. But that's almost 30 years ago. Imagine all the things that, and my heart just it just pains me sometimes, because had I known this, that I would have been able to give her a healthier, better life, because it affects their brain, it affects their teeth enamel, it affects the way the child develops.
Right.
And you're giving this to your child, but without regret at this point, and without the guilt and shame. And I can understand that I need to change, and that she can change. And that's just so beautiful that you share that with people. That honesty.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that you shared your story too, because you're right. We can't hold this guilt and condemnation against ourselves. You didn't know. A lot of people that are on here probably didn't know either. And that's why I'm here to share that information, because if we don't share that information, then how are people going to know? So, someone has to be the messenger.
And yes, absolutely. And it's important for me to tell this story and be honest. That's just my nature. But it's important for me to tell it in a loving way on my path now, so people can identify and understand there's a way out of that pain and that anger. Mm-hmm. And it's one step at a time. But if you constantly just go to a place where you're doing a meditation here and there, or you're kind of dabble in it when you first want to do it, but at some point you're going to really have to immerse yourself in it. And that's the energy right now, is you need to make a choice, because a choice has been made for you. You have let your free will go. When you allow others to make those choices, and especially when you start to know better and start to open up, if you allow other people to make those choices, they made those choices for you mentally, emotionally, and physically. And it's time to get out of that pattern. You're in that cycle, and it upsets the earth as well. And it's time to just kind of break free for it. Today's Mercury retrograde. So let's break free from it. Get those answers. Get the answers that you're ready for. Are you ready to hear for that? And it's time to break free of that and move up, because this is where we need to ascend. We know the things that we've done in the past. Let's move forward, and let's truly, truly, truly promote change within ourselves, so we can show other people how to change it. Yeah. And that's just the way to do it. Is to share with others our experiences and our truth.
Yeah, no, I like that you tie this all together with that hope piece again, because while I don't want to pass down toxins to my child, because that could have issues, if someone has a child where that's happened to, there's still a lot of answers. I just personally don't want to do the cleanup work and have sometimes I have really big faith that lots of things can work out for good and we can have answers. But sometimes, I mean, the further along that a situation is, it's just harder. And so, it's best to obviously prevent these things, but at the same time, I think your heart and my heart is that we want you to understand that there's so much hope out there. There's so many answers. My husband's legally blind and he went blind at 26. I'm going to keep searching for those answers until I find them. Like that's until if I am 80 years old and I'm still searching for those answers, I'm going to figure it out. And so I think if people have that mentality that I'm going to keep searching for my answers until I find them, then they're going to eventually probably run into their answers. And the more that I do this type of work, the more it's like it just blossoms, and I come across amazing people and answers and different things that can be used, not just for him, but obviously for everybody.
Right. And that's huge that you have that drive, and that you're willing to share that, and then to help your husband. And he's been on, since I've known you, he's been on that journey with you. And that's a beautiful thing to share that with the person that you love, to keep that purpose and that passion alive, and to let them be part of that journey, no matter where they're at, and to hold them into such a light that you would do that for them. And not everybody can do that. Not everybody can step back and say, hey, this is the person that I've chose to be with, and I want them to be on the journey with me, and for my journey to be successful, they can be with me. And then you can move those answers within your life and share that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a blessing. I mean, it's not always easy. None of this is necessarily always easy, but when you use tools that can help you, whether it's crystals or herbs or counseling, etc., brain tap, I mean, whatever the answer is, you alluded to a point earlier where, you be in line with the spirit and let the spirit guide you, because it's like an onion. We have this toxic onion or whatever you want to call it, and you peel layers and you peel layers and you peel layers. And the more that you peel it, the more pure you find your body, your mind, your spirit is naturally, and not forced, but you just naturally wake up and you're happy. You naturally wake up and you're in line in your destiny, and naturally hearing the spirit, etc. It can be a little bit harder at first because we can be so clouded with so much junk, really. But the more that we're still and we can hear that voice, we know the next step. And we might not know all these steps, but if you take the first step, it will continue to lead you to the next one and the next one and the next one.
Oh, absolutely. And once you start listening, that path becomes clearer. Once you start clarifying what you're hearing and not denying it, just try it. What if you succeeded? What if you got the job you wanted? What if you had a healthier life? What if, in a positive light, ask yourself those questions, because now you can use your left and your right brain. So you can analyze it. And once you analyze it and go, oh, okay, maybe I can have that. Here's where the possibility is. And you use the other side of your brain and you put those together, because you're dreaming and you're leapfrogging into that beautiful moment and into that prosperity. And that way you can have a balance. Same with the feminine, the divine feminine. You have to have the divine masculine. You have to have those balances. You cannot have one without the other. If you take one away, then you're not functioning properly. And you're not going to get the things that you want. You're in anger or you're in pain because you're promoting one over the other. So try and always just stay in that alignment and stay in that balance. And that's how you do that. You start to come back when you integrate everything together and you start to be in that smooth and wonderful place. We have 1 minute. We have just talked this hour away. How can people reach you? What is there anything, last words?
Yeah. So, well, first of all, I want to thank you, and anyone that's interested in anything that's to do with CellCore, I recommend going to Nicole. She can hook you up with that and get you all set on that protocol. It's pretty much chips away at every infection and every toxin you can think about in a systematic way that is really just, I mean, she'll give you all the download on that. It's powerful, and that's why I'm excited to share this. So there's that. My cerebral detox program is I'm in a transition at this point right now. Eventually I'll have people helping me run that program because my focus is more on getting the CellCore word out there. So eventually I'll have that up and running again with other health coaches and practitioners running it for me. And so that's at cerebraldetox.com. And you can find my podcast at thewellnesstrinity.com/podcast.
Awesome. Thank you for being here. Bye, guys. Love you. Have a great day. See you next Thursday, 9 a.m. Come join Soulful Illumination and you will be illuminated.